To escape from the Sultan's game, we'd require a place to flee to, one of which we have no current idea, and a method to open the city gates, be it a method of providing a key, or a method of avoiding the gates entirely. Currently, we have neither. Merchant Barat has once again owes us rent. Also has a few small items. 3 sociability and 3 survival is quite a relic. That might be worth purchasing. Do you find someone experienced to teach Zaki martial arts, or do you do it yourself? You train at the training grounds. Training was relatively successful. He'll be a good fighter in the future. Zaki's gained 2 physique. Your farmers are worried because someone has recently drawn many mysterious symbols near their homes. Perhaps, wise master, you can find something out. I can say that they're mysterious runes, thieves' marks, post an advertisement for tax collection, or simply tell them to stop bothering me. They're probably some form of thieves' cant. Determine that these were marks made by thieves, indicating their house had only one woman during the day and that tomorrow they could act. In any case, you warned everyone to be vigilant and ordered the runes to be erased. They become a little more renowned and a little more notorietous. The mayor has gained some stealth techniques. What a turbulent life. The mayor continues to be thoughtful. A maid takes a great risk to ask for your help. The mistress of her lord, a tax collector, went back to her hometown with her child some time ago and never returned. After a brief investigation, her hometown people claimed they had never seen her. The official handling the case thus ruled that the tax collector murdered her to get her dowry and fabricated her disappearance. But the maid insists her master would never do such a thing. He and his wife have always been very loving. She heard you are a rare kind of noble and plucks up the courage to seek your help to find out the truth. I can offer to find out the truth. I can say it's not my problem. I can start asking her about her and her master, or I can say the verdict is correct. Well, let's investigate. What she's saying is true, then it is indeed suspicious. You couldn't bear to see an upright person wronged. So after contemplating for a moment, you promise the maid that you will help find out the truth. And now everyone wants to talk to us on the same turn. Let's start with Zaki. Zaki has come to see you alone, thoughtfully asking if all good deeds are rewarded in turn. He looks a bit apprehensive, not knowing if he admired your kindness or pitied your suffering. Well, we have to hope they will, Zaki. You told the young man that promptly repaying the kindness of others is as important as taking revenge on malice, because only then will acts of kindness be encouraged and repeated over and over again. He apologized for his recklessness, and then asked if you doing good with the expectation of receiving some reward could still count as a good deed. You replied to him that it certainly counts as a good deed, because the final decision of receiving a reward still depends on the willingness of the receiving party. The doer of good has done a definite good deed and received an unknown reward. Kind of unequal exchange. What else could it be if not kindness? The young man was greatly inspired, pondered for a long time, then suddenly thought of something, taking out a jewelry box from his pocket. My mother asked me to bring this to you as a reward for your teaching, hoping it can motivate you to continue teaching more people what kindness and nobility are. Zaki's gifted me the Orb of Wisdom. It's just an accessory that gives you wisdom. A treasured relic passed down in Fortuna's family, said to sharpen the senses and invigorate the mind when kept close. Well, isn't that lovely? Here, Maggie, have a lovely Orb of Wisdom. There you go. What's up, Lumera? Found Lumera sitting idly in your study, with some books scattered around. Seeing you, she looked at you with clear eyes and said, Master, I've noticed that books here are very grand, significant events, but there's nothing about ordinary people, not slaves or servants or vendors. Who is this? The writers are very narrow-minded is almost certainly true. They weren't written on paper. Perhaps. They weren't worth recording. Get fucked. Writers are very narrow-minded. Told her that the scribes of the Empire had a narrow perspective, focusing only on the highest glories and hardly noticing the insignificant people. If she wanted such a book, she'd have to write it herself. She widened her eyes, then nodded heavily. Today's bookstore guest is Sharma. Some say Sharma is the illegitimate daughter of a noble lord. Her refined speech lends credence to such rumors. She might just be the city's finest fixer when it comes to unsavory matters that require a delicate touch. Pleasures of the bedchamber are merely a sweetener to her real service. We have the ability to kill Rabar. brother to Fortuna's ex-husband who's trying to steal her wealth. This is what Fortuna has asked us to do, and it would allow us to break a bloodshed card, but we don't have a bloodshed card right now. We have a carnality card. It might be worth attempting a redraw. It is worth remembering. We've already used the gold bloodshed card. Ravar is only bronze tier himself. It seems worth it. Stone Conquest. Stone Bloodshed. That will do. This should allow us to escape any particular issues regarding the event itself. You wait for the perfect opportunity, and you find it. You find him, the brother of Lady Fortuna's late husband, lost in the exciting fantasy of all the wealth he's about to inherit, defenseless in the House of Delights. He is a little drunk. He stumbles towards the silken canopy, sweet anticipation building by the second. In a moment like this, no one would wear the clumsy weight of armor. No one would keep a blade at hand. An opportunity. He killed him cleanly and cut off his head without even alerting the prostitute behind the curtain. Well, this greedy man will no longer be able to covet property that does not belong to him. Bring news of the vineyard's owner's death to Fortuna. The shadow that has loomed over her for so long finally dissipates. She exhales, slow and deep, and a relieved smile flickers across her lips. She thanks you and pays you handsomely. Fortuna now supports us all the more. The Sultan's game absolves you from blame. Word of the commotion at the House of Delights quickly spreads among the nobles. You pull out a bloodshed card before they could utter more words of condemnation. They immediately shut up. Thank the poor unfortunate guy. He died so others may live. Gain 2 influence, and we've broken a bloodshed card. Recently, your renown in the capital has been increasing, requiring you to handle more matters and meet more people, naturally with more help from Faraj. Sometimes, after reporting on the day's affair, he looks at you with anticipation. I'll leave my back to you, Faraj. Faraj is greatly encouraged. He excitedly invites you for a practice session with wooden swords, imagining a battle scenario where the two of you are surrounded by enemies back to back. Aww. He's such a cutie, and he's gotten a bit better at combat now. Sultan has returned to his loyal palace, and we must draw another card. Bronze Bloodshed card. Shame that we've just used an opportunity for one. Such is life. After the last training, Zaki is determined that you are trustworthy. This time he has come to you again. You would hear his other requests. At a certain court meeting, Zaki witnessed your heated debate with the ministers. While recounting it, Zaki's eyes were full of admiration. Can you teach me how you did it? You were intrigued, and agreed to his request. Zaki wants to improve his social skills to help his mother and you argue with others in the court soon. Thought of 3 places to train the young man. You must choose one. We can train him in the formal art of communication in the court. We can train him the more subtle arts of gossiping in the bathhouse. Or we can take him to the House of Delights and teach him how to charm people more directly. Let's connect him with the less formally important, the less rich and the less powerful. I think, if anything, the prostitutes of the House of Delights probably know just as much, if not more, about how to manipulate politicians and still have them love you at the end of the day than anyone in the courts do. Problematically, Norpal is attending court today. Norpal is a extremely dedicated opposer of us, and that makes him rather difficult to actually stop from slandering us in the court. No one among us can provide enough support for us to actually stop him. But we should nonetheless send somebody to try and stifle how much damage he'll do. The oasis discovered by you and cartographer Manar seems to have aroused the interest of the Sultan. Shadowy machinations are at work, pushing everything into the abyss, and you are powerless to stop them. You did not take advantage of the situation. You wait in endless torment till the news reaches you. The Sultan's army flattened the new oasis and brought back endless wealth. Celebration, the Sultan is throwing a feast in his golden palace for all his courtiers. Amidst the festivities, you spot Manar. Her face bears a bitter smile. With an almost sobbing voice, she says, "I didn't know it would turn out this way." No one can fathom the Sultan's savagery. You are thrown back to that cold winter night of your adventure. It is as if you were again stranded on that empty moor, stalked by night predators, with only the two of you guarding a fire, huddling for warmth. While we had the ability to interact with this, we only had the ability to swoop in with a conquest card and conquer it first, something I was explicitly unwilling to do. We have been slandered in the Sultan's court, but at least it's not more than one slander. Priests from the purest order can dispel evil and bestow blessings through special incantations, making recipients increasingly devoted to the Immaculate. Being your first visit, a priest carefully instructs you. You'll kneel on white stone slabs. After a brief wait, their high priest Iman will present you with a sharp-edged white stone fragment. He will dispassionately brush aside his pristine white hair, directing you to use this stone knife to cut his gold-dusted, scarred back, and amidst blood and pain, he'll whisper one pure word. This strange, inhuman intonation, once heard, will wash away everything. Curses, impurities, uncleanness, like flowing water. Divine blessings fill your body. Never have you felt such lightness. And we've been given a gold die. And we've also been given the blessed marking, because you can't get multiple blessings. Children find the Weasel's Court a delightful story. Adults understand its darker truths. I couldn't read. Today's bookstore visitor is Jabal, who is new to us. One of the 4 esteemed individuals granted the honor of serving as the Sultan's personal guard, permitted to bear arms in the Sultan's presence. An affable man, oft ridiculed for his passion for adventure stories and ancient heroics, he steadfastly upholds the ideas of the very paragons he admires. Absolutely stunning in combat, Jabal is in opposition to us. Perhaps he will be able to fix that today. Today, Zaki will be brought into the adult world. The House of Delights will teach this young man everything. We go to the House of Delights. The child is gifted for greatness. Now he knows. He is not just better than most in this respect, but far beyond them. His prostitute's words were much more than polite flattery. A young man who carries such certainty rarely finds himself wanting. Wow. I don't know if how many successes you get changes how big of an effect he gets, but that is a lot of bonuses. A colleague from the court came to your house for a feast. Probably having drunk too much, he drunkenly vented his grievances to you and began to recklessly complain about the Sultan. We can pretend nothing happened, criticize the crimes together, distance ourselves from him, or report to the Sultan. It's possible that this is some sort of trick. On one hand, I do want to criticize the Sultan with him, but I worry that if he's this prone to drunkenly complaining about the Sultan, he wouldn't be keeping my presence secret in his complaints. We'll just pretend nothing happened. A silent show of support. He pretended not to hear the words and had his servant quickly send him home. Early the next morning, the colleague stood at your door, pale-faced and wearing a flattering smile. He warmly shook your hand, hoping you would forget last night's event, admitting he was truly drunk and confused. You felt the outlines of several gold coins in your palm. Very well. You decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. We've managed to impress Jabal. Let's get a book called Unwavering Loyalty, specifically in quotes. You recently discovered by chance that every afternoon, when it's less busy, the maids gather in the study around Lumera to listen to her read. The ink on the paper hasn't dried yet, seeming as if Lumera wrote it herself. She smashed the water jug on the stone, and milk flowed into the river, but she didn't feel any regret because it was given by her enemy. Honey given by an enemy is poison. Lumera read softly, her voice steady but her enunciation very clear. Apollos cursed the man who gave her the milk with anger. She said she would rather starve than live off the charity of the one who killed her mother. The maids were engrossed, discussing Lumera's story animatedly, debating whether the protagonist should have smashed the milk jug, till the old slave girl reminded everyone that their master's lunch was about to start, and they dispersed to work. Only then did Lumera notice you in the hallway. After kneeling to greet you, she nervously twisted her robe and asked, What do you think, Master? Should Apollos have kept the milk given by her enemy? I can say that she should have kept it. Effectively, that accepting a gift from your enemy is acceptable. Shouldn't have kept it, that anything from an enemy is inherently bad. Or tell her not to waste the servant's time. I'm going to say that she should have kept it, because, like, if you can be certain that it won't harm you, why shouldn't you benefit at the expense of the person who's, like, harmed you? It doesn't mean you have to forgive them. You can take something, you can accept something without inherently forgiving them. You tell her that, in your view, honor is less important than happiness. In other words, the ultimate goal of life should be to make oneself happy, and honor is just one of the means to achieve happiness. For the protagonist's child in the book, a cup of hot milk is happiness. Therefore, you think she should take the milk home and let go of hatred. You're always right. Romero looks at you, nodding obediently. After a while, somewhat hesitantly, she asks, "Can I still tell them stories?" You smile and promise she can. Mejia, top Jasmine, has won us 4 gold in a horse race. Zaki is inspired by a collection of dialectics. I understand. He's gained a sociability. No, he's gained a wisdom. He's gained a wisdom. Many folk tales of chastity and fidelity, half true and half false, all carry indescribable eeriness. In these stories, you can learn some dignified speaking methods. I've gained a sociability. Tower is phantom. After reading this book, that night a vision appeared in Doof's dreams. It was a ruined tower in the desert, unnaturally blooming with flowers. Upon awakening, Doof suddenly knew this place's location. If you quickly organize an expedition, you might solve this mystery before shifting sands change its position. Oh. Oh. Another strange gold coin finds its way into your pocket. You study the Sultan's profile stamped on the reserve, wondering, who made this? I've gained another false gold coin. Zaki's come to us with another request. After the last guidance, he completely regards you as his mentor for life. This time he has come to you again. You hosted him. Zaki expressed his gratitude and admiration for your guidance during this period, but he doesn't want to bother you all the time. He asks you where you usually go for answers when you have questions. Say the bookstore, the prison, or the dark alley. I go to the bookstore. Take him to the bookstore. Every riddle has its answer, you tell him. History and books hold them all. Tower. From afar, you can see this green, broken tower. But is that a mirage or a real landmark? Interesting. Let's go on an adventure.